Welcome to eXplainer. Today, we're building something really special, a supportive guidebook to help you identify mental health struggles and seek professional help. And you know what? We're going to do this by drawing inspiration from the very real, often hidden journeys of global K-pop idols. Look, in an industry known for absolutely flawless choreography and picture-perfect visuals, the mental and emotional pressure is literally off the charts. Yet an increasing number of these incredible artists are stepping forward to talk about their vulnerabilities. They're showing us that navigating mental health isn't a weakness. It's just a universal human experience. So, here is our mental health toolkit for today. We're going to cover 1. Understanding you are not alone. 2. Spotting those signs of distress. 3. Daily habits for healing. 4. The power of expression. And finally, 5. Seeking professional support. Let's dive right in.
All right, part 1. You are not alone, navigating the pressure.
So let me ask you this. Have you ever felt completely overwhelmed by the pressure to just be perfect? Man, I think we all have. It's a crucial reminder that you are absolutely not alone in the overwhelming pressures of modern society. If you've ever felt crushed by perfectionism, whether that's in school, at your job, or honestly just trying to get through daily life, it's a shared reality. Even for the biggest global superstars who perform in front of millions of screaming fans, the burden of expectations can feel incredibly isolating and just so heavy. And if you're feeling this way, the hard data actually backs you up. Looking at the period from 2015 all the way to 2023, we clearly see a rising prevalence of depression, anxiety, and stress among young people. This proves, unequivocally, that you are part of a wider societal trend. It's not a personal failure, okay? It's a systemic pressure that so many of us are facing right now, which should completely remove any of that personal stigma you might be carrying around. And here's the really cool part. Shared communities, like K-pop fandoms, for example, can foster incredibly supportive spaces. Look at this word cloud derived from research on youth engagement with K-pop. You see words popping out like love, self, healing, and resilience. It's like a giant puzzle where communities come together to show that healing is something we can do collectively. By uniting over shared interests, we can actually create a safe haven to process all those complex emotions.
Moving right along to Section 2. Spotting signs of distress. Recognizing the struggle.
Because, before we can heal, we have to acknowledge that a struggle actually exists. By seeing massive global superstars like BTS's Suga bravely rap about his battles with depression, social anxiety, and OCD in his solo work as Augusti, we can strip away the intimidating nature of mental health struggles. He describes his mental health kind of like cold weather. These negative emotions just come and go. It's a really powerful reminder that mental illness doesn't magically spare you just because you're successful. Then we have JB, a former member of GOT7. Hearing him admit to feeling this extreme burden reminds us that anxiety is not a personal weakness. It's a real clinical condition that requires attention. He confessed that for years he hid those feelings away, mistaking his clinical depression for simply being mentally weaker than everyone else. So what should we actually be looking out for? Well, recognizing these signs in your own life is a super courageous first action. These manifestations can look like the panic attacks experienced by D6's J or the extreme diets and bulimia that soloist IU bravely spoke about battling early in her career. Catching these signs, whether that's chronic exhaustion, hyperfixating on your appearance, or just this constant nagging feeling of pressure, is the absolute foundation for getting better. Which brings us to Section 3. Daily habits for healing. Small steps, big impact. Okay, so now that we know what to look for, how do we introduce simple self-care routines into our daily lives to manage all this stress? Check out BTS leader RM. He actively fights his daily battles by relying on incredibly simple, grounding habits. When people asked him about how he doesn't lose to depression, he cited activities like cleaning his room, exercising, and watering his plants. Literally, just watering plants. These seemingly tiny actions anchor you to the present moment and really warmly support both your physical and mental well-being. Now, a quick warning here. As Day 6's Jay learned after experiencing a severe panic attack, trying to just live through anxiety or sweep things under the rug because of toxic positivity, that simply doesn't work. Forcing a smile when you are hurting only makes the burden heavier. Actually, scratch that. It makes it completely unbearable. Authentic acknowledgement, just admitting, hey, I am not okay, is the only path forward to true healing. And while using music or pop culture as an emotional sanctuary is a fantastic tool, we have to balance that escapism with real-world emotional management. Excessive involvement can lead to neglecting your own responsibilities, or worse, making unhealthy comparisons. We gotta practice what we call escapism with responsibility. Basically, use your passions to recharge your batteries, not to completely disconnect from your real-world emotional needs. All right, on to section 4, the power of expression, finding your outlet. We all need a way to externalize the heavy stuff we're feeling inside, right? Well, art therapy is an incredibly accessible tool for daily emotional management that you can start practicing right now with literally just a pen and some paper. You don't need to be a professional artist. The goal isn't to create a masterpiece. It's just to give form to the anxieties and emotions that are way too difficult to put into words. NCT's Renjin provides a really beautiful example of this. He shared how leaning into this specific type of expression helped him navigate the pain and confusion of entering adult society. He admitted that being young and inexperienced made dealing with societal pressures hurt like hell, but finding a teacher who guided him through art therapy became this massive help in his life. But hey, if drawing isn't your jam, music can absolutely be that outlet. Connecting with lyrics that openly discuss these specific mental health themes acts as a huge cathartic emotional release and validates your deepest feelings. Songs like 2NE1's Ugly tackle insecurities about physical beauty standards, while Epic High's In Soul perfectly captures that crippling anxiety that leads to insomnia. Finding a song that mirrors your internal state is a great way to process those heavy feelings safely. Finally, our last chapter, Section 5, Seeking Professional Support, the ultimate act of courage. Look, coping mechanisms are awesome, but they are not a replacement for medical care when you truly need it. Red Velvet's Wendy talked about how she was constantly prioritizing others and hiding her own hardships. But she eventually realized that prioritizing her own needs over hiding her struggles is exactly why reaching out to specialists is vital when symptoms feel overwhelming. She called it plucking the courage. And honestly, that's exactly what it is. And this step-by-step breakdown proves that safely locating a licensed therapist or support service is an actionable, totally manageable process. It's not an impossible mountain. Start by identifying hotlines. Lean on specialized organizations if you have specific struggles, like EDFA for eating disorders, and just take that reassuring step to book a session. Please, always remember that professional resources for immediate assistance exist all around you, ready to help the moment you are ready to ask. Whether it's dialing a local emergency number when you're in crisis or utilizing LGBTQ+ confidential counseling services, there are experts trained specifically to help you carry the weight. 1. That is the single number of phone calls, text messages, or appointment bookings it takes to connect with a professional and completely change the trajectory of your mental health journey. It literally just takes one moment of courage. So, I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought. You've seen the data. You've heard the stories of idols who seem totally invincible but struggled just like you. And you have the tools right in front of you. So, whether it's watering a plant, drawing a picture, or calling a professional, what will your first step be today?